What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 37 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Karl Franz Old World campaign. So we left off last time with the turn completed and awaiting a few fights, namely, or most importantly, Marcus Wolfhart's probably last battle of the campaign against the forces of Bellicor and his capital and most elite settlement. Lots of good stuff in there. Trolls, dragon ogres, artillery, chaos knights, giants, a war shrine, etc., etc. And we get the blue scribes and aspiring champs and the rotting riders in Eglixus Mortkin's army. We'll see if he gets replaced by Mr. Bellicor next turn or not, but I suppose it doesn't really matter whether he does or he doesn't. And what does matter is I don't believe that there's anything to do but to end the turn and find us that nice little fight. So, just a quick double check. Screw it. Let's just end the turn and see who comes out to fight. Building upgrades. No, siege equipment available. Wait. What is this again? Oh, right. Gelt also has a fight. Just in case for the siege equipment. I think I'm 99% sure they'll sell yet, but just in case they don't. And now we should be good to end the turn. Go. Alright, it looks like Gelt will get the first battle. We got lots and lots of monsters, tons of those Ushabti with great bow, which are actually a fairly bit of a big problem for Balthazar Gelt's army, as he doesn't have an easy way to deal with them, and whether it be through spell work or through artillery fire. So that'll be interesting to see. We do outrange them fairly considerably with the Hellstorm rocket, so we can at least damage them a little bit, but we may actually have to move forward and deal with them before they snipe too many of our Silverin Guard and Eldred's Guard. Anyway, time to fight. Go.
Men of the Empire, I am no warrior priest blessed with the gift of making grand speeches. For the good of the Empire, fight! Bring me victory!
Alrighty, here we go. Gelt does have some experience with this particular map. Ooh, heck of a volley there. That unit of Tomb Guard completely deleted pretty much immediately, but obviously, and for obvious reasons, the Tomb Guard aren't the real threat here. The enemy Ushabti with great bow are, and of course this Casket of Souls, though I don't think it's going to be sticking around for too much longer as Gelt comes down upon it together with his Empire Captain and activates that final transmutation. A couple more hits, or even a couple more seconds of magical damage, and the casket will be out. Certainly don't want that thing firing away at us in the same manner that we're firing away at the enemy currently. Obviously, there's a little bit of an artillery shootout to do, so while the Tomb Guard were the first units hit by our first volleys before our units switched their targets, the main target is the enemy casket, or not the caskets, but the Screaming Skull catapults, in which we gotta knock out. And I do wager we'd win that aspect of the artillery shootout fairly quickly, but there's plenty more enemies and constructs at that, where that came from. I did decide to get a couple of units of knights out of the choke point formation, or not formation, out of the choke point, I guess, in order to fight some enemy cav over on the right flanks. Here, this is going to be a definite tough fight, as the Necro Serpents and the Tomb Guard Halberd wielding Tomb Guard, armor piercing, poison damage dealing, and 1.5 times as much damage, generally speaking, as the Black Knights, the Knights of the Black Rose, means that there's going to be an interesting fight. They are fighting even right now, which is interesting, because they're fighting even while the Knights of the Black Rose are massively buffed up by an overcast harmonic convergence, and that's still only enough to fight on an even level when the Necropolis Knights with halberds. All we can do is hope that the Knights of the Black Rose here defeat the Hekaran Horsemen quickly, hopefully before the others arrive, and then move to help out against the Necro Serpents. In the meantime, of course, the rockets continue shrieking overhead. They have destroyed most of the enemy Screaming Skull catapults, though that does mean they have been forced to forego firing upon plenty of other units. And we've got some Sepulchral Stalkers and other fast movers moving in towards our line of Eldred's Guard and Silverin Guard. And the gold and silver and gold themed units will just hold off the tide of I want to say greenskins because of the greenskin idol over there. Hold off the tide of undead and best they can. The Tomb Scorpion, with its annoying ability to sort of move through the ranks, does so fairly quickly, and by the looks of it is going to be heading towards our Death Strike launchers here. Which ain't so great. That said, that's why we keep a few units around. We have 2 units of Silver and Guard and 1 unit of Spears and 1 unit of Knights of the Black Rose here. They were waiting for potentially Ushabti to come in and, get summoned and annoy us, but we'll deal with the Tomb Scorpion and just as well. We've also been firing away this entire time as soon as those Screaming Skull catapults dropped at the Ushabti with great bow, and by the looks of it, a couple of them at least are fairly heavily damaged. I expect the one that took the most damage is the one that's being attacked by the Sunmaker, our Regiment of Renown, because it hits, way harder. 7.7k missile strength compared to the 2.6k of the regular Hellstorm batteries. Good lord. At least that thing has enough damage to just straight up overwhelm even a construct with rockets, even if it's not what it's for. Anyway, more Tomb Guard are moving on, and a Tomb Swarm comes down upon our main line as well, which ain't going to be so great for the, well, maybe not quite fragile, but relatively fragile units of infantry, at least comparatively. And over on the left flank, our our Knights of the Black Rose were really starting to struggle against the Necropolis Knights, so I decided to move our unit, our mage in, specifically the Celestial Wizard, to apply that blinded effect. -15 to that Necropolis Knight unit means that the Knights of the Black Rose can defeat it fairly easily. I don't know why I'm saying every unit name wrong today. The enemy lord has nearly been defeated as well. He's been taking a few magical hits from Mr. Gelt. Yeah, still got that corroded armor on him as well. But primarily he was taking damage from the final transmutation upon him. I believe he got 2 of them, or 3, I don't even remember at this point, but I suppose it doesn't matter much because he's not going to survive for much longer, as one more hit from the Empire Captain will bring the big boy down. We're still firing on the enemy Ushabti with great bow, and while they are firing back a little bit, we see them knock out a few of our Knights of the Black Rose. There's not too many of them left now, as the rockets have nobody else to focus them. And you can solve most problems with judicious application of rocket fire, even if it isn't effective against constructs. Speaking of constructs, the other unit of Ushabti, as the Realm of Souls activates to level 3, does get summoned in the midst of our artillery pieces, but that's why we kept all of those units back, and now they surround and hopefully quickly tear down the constructs here. It looks like we've nearly defeated the enemy cav on the left flank. Our units of the Knights of the Black Rose that fought those halberds severely damaged, but the other one that was fighting the Hekara horsemen was pretty much fine. Alrighty, and I do like the fact that we've got the, skull face helmets on our units here. Well, at least some of them. Fighting the actual skull faces. Looking good. Outdoing the enemy in terms of that and their own thing, because we got skull faces too, but we're fancier. Anyway, looks like the battle is very much in our favor now at about 80%. Gelt has arrived in the main line once more to apply stand your ground to our units, as the infantry at least have started to take a fair bit of damage. This one at least is below half HP. This one's at about half as well, but it looks like it won't matter. And though our artillery pieces are damaged, our front line is between, 50, 60 something percent HP, and the enemy was unable to break through it with the exception of that darn Scorpion. And it looks like the last of the enemies are about to go away. The last of the Ushabti have fallen, buried in, soot from the rockets. And the Silveran Guard and the Eldred's Guard managed to hold off all of those Tomb Guard. Very nice battle for the cav over on the left flank. I'm glad we managed to make our way out of the choke point before the rest of the enemy closed. Still another unit of Necropolis Knights slithering their way towards us, but not for much longer, as the last few rocket... Ooh. That looks really nice with the sort of bluish sky that we got there. Anyway, that was a pretty picturesque shot of rockets obliterating necro serpents. Anyway, one last unit remains on the field. A unit of, I guess these are ranged chariots, which explains why they didn't bother to try to close the distance. A little bit of rocketry, a little bit of gelt, and ooh. Huh. What a nice screenshot if it wasn't for this thing. But anyway, a little bit of gelt and a little bit of fire from the summoned Empire Captain's retinue officer squad helped us out quite well. Damn, I really wish that you could hide this thing. There's a tendency of the game to give these great sort of screenshot-worthy moments exactly when this thing appears. So what can you do? Yeah, heroic victory. Nice. Alrighty, there we go. A pretty darn nice choke point battle that the enemy certainly gave us a fight in. We were forced to use our artillery to deal with the Ushabti, and obviously the Ushabti aren't particularly susceptible to the rocket batteries, though with, 8 minutes or so of sustained fire, we were able to dish out eventually enough damage to them. More importantly, they did still attempt to dodge the rockets, and that means they're not firing while they're dodging, which definitely worked out in our favor. And Gelt, as usual, about 500 kills, closing in on 90,000 damage. Pretty darn solid. We were able to hold the line with the Eldred's Guard and the Silverin Guard, and it looks like one of the Eldreds and got the most damage and kills. I think this one was the very center of our entire formation, as in of all the spears, so it makes sense that it got the most kills and the most damage. Some decent fighting out of the Knights of the Black Rose, though one of them had a really tough time against the let's see, where were they? Necropolis Knights with halberds, losing 14 of their number to them, which is pretty darn solid. Oh, and then a little bit of their number to a few of the other cav units that were running around the skeleton spears. But yeah, considering the enemies are halberdiers, that does make sense that the Knights of the Black Rose struggled a little bit. Still, a great fight for them. Anyway, that's the settlement. Alright, it looks like Bellicor himself will not return, but we still have a lot of decent units to work against for his faction's final fight. We did defeat him already, so it's not a big deal, and Marcus will get this fight going. Now, of course, as this is the strongest his army has ever been, let's see how it does compared to the first time he fought them. Go.
Listen up, huntsman. I know you are afraid, but remember, fear is not a weakness. It will keep you as sharp as the weapons that you wield. It will keep you alive.
Man, Marcus is so quiet with his speech giving. It's, I don't know, and the way that Elspeth is super loud, Marcus is super quiet. Which, I mean, I guess as a master of scouts kind of does make some sense. But anyway, here we go. We got a big old pile of chaos units against us, and generally speaking, this army is best, as we've seen before, leaving the melee infantry as far from the enemy as we can, for example, all the way back here, and then kiting them with our range units, the Huntsmen, which now move at 50 speed, which is pretty fantastic, and all that. But I decided not to do that this time. We're relatively close to the enemy, and we're going to allow everybody to fight, including the melee troops, rather than destroying most of the enemy army at range. We will do a little bit of kiting with the machinery, i.e. the war wagons and the gyrocopters, but other than that, we'll be okay. Anyway, Marcus and Kalara will be shooting arrows at the blue scribes, but it looks like not needed for too much longer, as they will get dragged back into the realm of souls and are out of the picture. The enemy does move towards us with a bunch of fast movers, rock knights and such, that we do stop them in their tracks with that snare ability and that Mr. Marcus now has, which is why we could have very much taken advantage of that ability and kited the enemy a lot more, done a lot more damage. But this way, I expect a decent amount of the enemy will be able to close the distance with our ranks of Wood Elf and Bretonnian melee, and thus give us a little bit of a fight. Gotta be careful about dropping any grenades on our own units as well. Anyway, looks like the fast movers are in first. The doggos lead as the vanguard, followed by enemy Chaos Knights, though even with those shields and even with that armor, our huntsmen do so much damage that they're going to be extremely dangerous to them. Enemy hits us back with a fireball, looks like, into one of the units of Black Lions, but they don't take enough damage for it to be a concern, at least for now. Keep on firing away from the range heroes, Marcus and Yorick Grimm and Kalara here, and I don't remember where Roderick Longi and Hertwig Van Hal are. They're somewhere in the center of the line with the melee. Okay, I do remember where they are, I just can't see them. Anyway, it does look like some of the enemy monsters now charge forward, but we do stop them from charging too deep into our lines. The way that we've done that is by leaving the Wissenberg's Welcomers directly on top of our units of Wildwood Rangers and Bretonnians, or just slightly behind them. The war wagons are tremendously fragile, but they do have enough mass and enough presence, and they're big enough units on the map that you can use them to stop charges like that of units that are liable to charge through your lines. I've done it before, but it's a small tip for those who like to watch these campaigns to learn about some stuff you might not otherwise see. Anyway, obviously as soon as the enemy's charge had stopped and the enemy had not been able to break through the melee and into the range, we back the fragile war wagons off and allow them to fire once more into the enemy ranks. Alrighty, and it looks like the Wildwood Rangers have defeated the enemy Dragon Ogres, who are booking it on out of there. The second, I want to say, unit of Chaos Knights? This is the first one, I guess it doesn't really matter. They're still fighting against the Bretonnian peasants here, who look so tiny by comparison, surrounded by monsters and all that, but hey, they're holding. They do have a Witch Hunter leading them, though, who may be a little bit scarier than the enemy at times. They would have probably seen him burn a few mutants alive. And funnily enough, Bretonnian peasantry do have a high sort of incidence of mutation among them, to a degree that obviously would not be sort of allowed in the Empire. It's kind of funny that we have a witch hunter in this army and then Bretonnian peasants, but anyway. Chaos Warriors with halberds still in the fight, but our Wildwood Rangers at rank 9 as they are should be able to tear through them. Very high damage at 77, and pretty solid stats, 65-64. For those that remember the Orion campaign, you'll probably remember that I do really like Wildwood Rangers as a unit. They're pretty fun and useful. And it looks like they do good here as well. Alright, and it looks like we see off the enemy. They fail to breach our lines and reach our range and thus lose. We do take severe damage on the Grey Mountain Band units, even with all the stats that they have, but they've served their purpose and they were given the chance to fight as well. This unit ran away, but with 15 or whatever percent HP remaining, that does make sense. And our range units were able to dish out considerable damage over the course of the battle. Lovely. A very nice fight, and we probably won't see Wolfheart again for this campaign, but I think it was a pretty nice army composition that we came up with this time around. Alright, there we go. Wanted to make sure that everybody in the army got their chance to fight, and it looks like everybody did. 16,000 damage on one of the Wildwood Rangers, 14 to 18,000 damage on the various units of Bretonnians. Of course, the Huntsmen did fantastic, hovering between 33 and 12,000 damage. At the lowest, 16 on the Black Lions. Solid damage out of the Wissenberg's Welcomers, as always, and the Gyrocopters. It's been a very fun composition for Marcus Wolfheart in terms of getting all of their heroes their own retinue. Of course, the Witch Hunter summons his own retinue, which is great, as otherwise we would have had to replace some of the Huntsmen with, I don't know, pistol units or something, but yeah, with his own retinue available, everybody has their own, and it's worked out pretty well. Anyway, we will praise Sigmar, and we will destroy Bellicor for good as soon as the end turn, well, ends.
Second chance. Take it.
Alright, I was not expecting them to actually attempt this, and I'm kind of glad that they did, because we almost never see actual siege battles where we're on the defensive. In fact, Did we get a single one in this campaign? Maybe once in the very early game? It's been a while, so I don't remember, but, what I do know is that we're going to fight this just for fun. And at the end of the day, they have some solid stuff. The Fimir Stalkers, by virtue of their stalk, and, well, the Fimir in general, I guess, are going to be difficult to take down in terms of range fire. The Feral Manticores will probably prove an issue as well. Should be fun. Go. Alrighty, here we go, a siege battle. Certainly not something we've been seeing a lot of lately, and I'm excited to fight at least. One, we have dispersed our units on 3 portions of the wall where we expect the enemy to attack, and, well, we'll just see how it goes. Over on this side, we have a bunch of range units, because the enemy has brought a bunch of range units here themselves, all 4 of their Marauder horses, and 2 of their units of Marauder hunters with javelins, and our units with those towers combined should be able to tear through the enemy range, hopefully before too many of them make their way through the gate or up those walls. We got the 3 enemy Manticores working together as well over on this side, and this is why we built our tier 3 tower, investing most of our points on this side. We've also had our Lord here and the new Altor Retinue to hopefully help and gun them down. There is a ram heading towards the gate here, and there is another heading towards the gate over on this side as well, though because we have a unit of grenades, a borderman unit here, I don't expect the gate or, I don't expect this gate to open. Enemy units of Marauders having a pretty bad time against the crossbows and the towers firing at them so far, but the enemy is drawing closer and closer, and the volleys of grenades will begin. There we go. And charging directly at a wall with those Marauders looks like it's not going to be too effective, though we have been taking damage from those Melkoths mystifying miasmas, having gotten hit by 1 or 2 now on the Borderman, and you can see just how much damage that's dealing. It's a lot scarier a spell in SFO and quite effective at mauling infantry blobs, or units. Alrighty, poor Fimir Stalkers relegated to pushing a ram means that they're going to get pincushioned by the crossbows and blown up by those grenades, and it looks like over on this side of the wall, and the battle is effectively ours, or this aspect of the battle, this skirmish, is effectively ours. Over on this side, one of the units of Cav has been destroyed, the second one being focused down. Now 2 towers, siege towers, heading towards us, and 2 units of range. The Javelineers have decided to actually climb the wall. Probably not going to go so well for them, however, as the Imperial Foot should be able to hold them off with no problems whatsoever. That's a terrible matchup for the enemy. There we go. But I do imagine they'll be able to establish a beachhead because the Imperial Foot are going to need to be spread out as the enemy siege towers have reached our walls, and they're going to need to be there to hold them back. The 3 Manticores have landed where our Lord is, and we have moved our single mobile unit, the Wardens of the West, in to try to essentially slow them down, bogging them down with the fragile but more massive units of Cav, and allowing the other units to work on them. The new Altor Retinue have climbed the wall and are firing down into those Manticores. The tower is also providing support, and the piles of pikes and halberds are holding the enemy back. Looks like the Lord is chasing the other Feral Manticore, which is breaking, and the others are in bad shape as well. The enemy's ram, however, has managed to break through the gate, as we did not have any units of range over on this side of the map, which means no way to stop the ram, at least no easy way, as we only had the 1 tower. A Skinwolf Weirkin together with a Fimir Mirg, it's a Balefiend actually, but anyway, together with a Fimir Balefiend, have led the charge, and I'm not sure what those Fimir Stalkers are doing milling around out there, but they'll be making their way forward as well and applying that magical damage-dealing bleed attack to our units. A definitely scary unit in terms of the sheer amount of damage that they can deal out, and the relatively fragile Bretonnians and Spears here are probably going to have a pretty bad time of it. Oh, and the Feral Manticore came back and has now rear-charged them, hoping perhaps to make sure that these guys are out before we get reinforcements in, but with the Manticores nearly defeated, everyone is going to move towards blocking this gate. By the looks of it, the enemy cavalry have been defeated at this point, though the units have made their way on top of the wall, or on the wall, and then off the wall, as the Berserkers have decided to charge through and go towards our crossbows and our mortars. And we're just going to have to deal with them as best we can, and are you telling me the Bordermen can't fire down like this? Well, that's kind of disappointing. I feel like your grenade launcher should be able to fire down like this. Just point down. Guys, please, come on. There we go. Okay, yeah, but they're not firing at that unit. Okay, well, I guess it's within the minimum range of the grenade unit. That's disappointing. It would have been really helpful if they started obliterating them there. But oh well, now they can at least fire at the Berserkers. Although they have probably taken a decent bit of an advantage from being in melee and attacking those mortar crews, as it allows their Berserk ability to go up to 75% and significantly increase their tankiness. Through the open gate come another unit of Fimir Stalkers with those Marauder Spears still moving around. But the further away they get from the gate, the more likely the Grenadiers will actually be able to start annoying them. There we go, starting to drop grenades upon them. I do believe, however, the AI has realized that it has no hope. They lost over on this side, and we've done enough damage to the enemy chariot riding a lord to send him packing, and I believe as soon as he routed, the entire enemy army did as well. We got our reinforcements to this gate in time and brought down the enemies that attempted to break through it. And probably pretty hard to make your way through the gate against all of those pikes and halberds, which worked out as well. Lovely. And a nice fight under... I guess this area is still Slaanesh corrupted, judging by all the, Slaanesh corruption that we can see. Anyway, a lovely little fight, probably the only defensive siege that we're liable to see. Alright, there we go. Thanks to the Earthsfjordlings for at least giving us a nice little siege battle that we otherwise wouldn't have had, and a fairly decent one, as they were able to get within our settlement in at least 2 locations over the course of the battle. Good job to them. And I don't... Well, actually, they might come back, so maybe we'll keep these guys here for now. But anyway, praise Sigmar. Whispers of the Eyeless, this thing pops up at turn 99. I don't think there's any use for it anymore. I'd rather not lose the research rate and the miscast base chance, so you know what, screw it, there's no point in it anymore. It's far too late in the game to get any advantage out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the bonus... skill points, the bonus experience is nice, it's real nice, but we are long past the point of needing it, and especially with Karl's faction buffs, it's not as needed either. Anyway, Ally begins outpost construction, Biting Blade we can ignore, and Disciplinarian, okay, Ambassador to the Phoenix King completed. Can we now do... Hall of Duels in 1 turn. Yes, we can. Lovely. Targeting range, cooldown, Winds of Magic cost reduction, and Winds of Magic power reserve. All very nice. And then I guess we'll go a couple of these afterwards, and then we'll go into Memorialism after that, because it should take 1 turn. You will knock out what remains here. Can you get any more of those cheap Bretonnian units? Let's get some of those cheap Bretonnian units. And... anything else? Not really. Alright, let's get... Oh, wait, I just saw another Wardens of the West at 9. Yes, like so. Just to make sure that they can auto-resolve it with ease. Alright, and then we'll heal them back up, although I suppose it's not super needed, and then you can... actually, you know what? Go to Grung Stekbrud, because these guys might then attack us while we wait. Distinct possibility, so let's do that, and then, well, it looks like we'll have a guardhouse available, so you should be able to defend this. Kurt Helborg, you have defeated Skarbrand, and now you'll have to decide where to go. We can take this place from the Earthsfjordlings, so it looks like it's a free territory, and then start up on attacking the Keepers of Bliss, though, again, attacking the Slaaneshi has some issues with me not wanting to I'll let a few of our armies go. Oh, actually, maybe we can't. Kolak Sun Eater's on the way. You know what? Then stay here. I'd like you to do two things. First of all, go into an encamp stance, and then go into the Slaaneshi territory, which will allow you to heal significantly more. I imagine Kolak will go to Sioktraken, and then we should be able to fight him and bring him down in the same manner and we did Scarbrand. Oh, that should be pretty nice. Alrighty. Anybody else that fought? Okay, yeah. You fought, therefore you can now take this place down. Auto-resolve. Will this kill our war wagons? Do we care at this point? Maybe we don't. But I'll quick save it just in case, and it looks like we're fine, minus Aldebrand Aldrich. Aldebrand Aldrich? Huh.
Take these hovels. I, the Emperor.
Yeah, Roderick Longi. I was like, what the heck? Why is his name Aldebrand Aldrich? That was weird. Drifting Castle, there we go. Shadow Legion destroyed, and then you can pop into, I guess, anti-corruption. Council of Burgomeister, or actually... we probably want to build some stuff here next turn. Yeah, the anti-corruption's pretty swell. Alright, fine, let's go for Council of Burgomeisters. Well, actually, I don't even know if there's going to be a next turn. And depending on what we want to still do. There's a few other final battles I'd like to get, so there probably will, admittedly. Alrighty, anyway, Karl, we can start with you. Actually, you know what? This is probably going to be the good place to call this episode here. Ooh, hello. And we gotta move towards you with Karl, but we need to take Gorhunt Hall. I guess we probably have to stop here, send somebody else around this way, because otherwise this territory will all be lost, and we can't give it to the dwarfs, because I'm pretty sure we have to give it to the, we have to give it to the Urson Revivalists. Well, not important. We will figure it out as we go. Hello, what do we have here? There's some decent defenders here. I wonder if it's worth a fight for Dolph, though, again, the orcs probably don't stand a chance against him there. Anyway, I keep rambling because there's always more stuff to do, but for now we'll have to pause that and start Skavening. I guess probably going to get the Skaven campaign up and running maybe today. It is the weekend. I might have time to record it. We'll see. Decent likelihood today, but if not today, then very, very soon. As for this campaign, I'd still like to fight a few more final armies, so we might do those next time or another time. Volkmar is waiting to fight the piles of Tomb Kings of the Sentinels at the Black Pyramid, and there's probably at least a few other big fights that we can find and fight, especially with some of our newer armies. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.